What up? I said ready to Jay right before I pressed go live, and Nietzsche got super excited.
My dog
You
knows
can see his
English.
tail. Look, there he is. There's his face. Yes. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Holistic Life Show. I'm Jenny,
Hi, Jay.
and Jay's just, scrolling Facebook, I guess.
Dude, I'm trying to share the live to my page.
I know.
Scrolling fan. All right.
So, guys, we're so. Hey, you run it. Go. That's what I thought. Don't make fun of me again. Whoa. So, you run it. Your turn. See, if I wanted perfection, we're demonstrating it right now. So right before the show, I was like adjusting myself and making sure I looked okay and make sure there wasn't shoes in the background. Isn't crazy?
Yep.
But that's just what happens. I mean, today is a topic that is super near and dear to me because I am a current / recovering perfectionist.
Okay.
Well, because I was afraid to say I was recovering, and you're like, oh, yeah, right, you're still a perfectionist.
We'll run with it.
I'm actively shifting
That's
away from
That's better.
Perfectionism.
Because it's like you're currently recovering. So, like, logically, but yeah, what you just said works.
So, are you a perfectionist? Let us know. Because we were talking about this before. We think. Can I say we?
Depends on what you're saying.
So, we think that everybody has some level of perfectionist tendencies depending on what it is.
I agree. Yes, we do think that.
Yeah, so for me, perfectionism is driven by like wanting to be the best.
Mm-hmm.
It's driven by the level of excellence and the high level that I expect from myself. It's driven by wanting to be seen good by others, wanting to do well. I really don't like the idea of anybody pointing out that I did something wrong. I mean, that's the bottom line. I don't want to do anything wrong. Okay, I grew up a goody two-shoe. I didn't really get in trouble. Look, now we're getting real deep here. Check this out. So when I was in high school, like early high school, maybe like 8th, 9th grade, somewhere around there was like notes that got passed around. And one of the notes said, like I asked somebody out, will you go out with me, check one, yes or no? Because I was bold like that. I would just ask. And then the note came back to me and it said, are you a freezer? Check one, yes or no. And back in my day, in my school, freezer meant do you kiss or do you not? Like, and if you're a freezer, it means you don't kiss or you don't do any other stuff. And I was like, oh shit, I'm a freezer. So I was like, yes, which I knew I was signing my deathbed because I was so afraid to kiss in school and get caught and get in detention. I was so afraid. I did not want to get in trouble. Because if I got in trouble, like it would be bad. And then in college, I sat down with my counselor, and when I told her my goals, I said that I wanted to graduate college with a 4.0 GPA. And she laughed at me and said, why would you set your goals so high? You're going to be let down when you don't. Look, I got 1 B, and I was let down. But I could have totally did it, and I got an 89 in history.
We still don't talk about college in this house.
So, I mean, I'm running like my whole life on perfectionism. Like there are so many things, and it has served me. Perfectionism and chasing that has served me in a lot of ways, but it's also like hurt me in other ways too.
What up to whoever just jumped on?
Hey, so I'll pause. Now tell your perfectionism stories and sides and your angle of everything.
Don't really have a story per se. I think more for me it's less about it's more in the things that I do. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, like all the work we've been doing on this like sales page or launching the business, part of me feels like, okay, back up, rewind to when I first had my business. When I was doing that, like everything had to be perfect. Like everything had to be perfect, which meant like no criticism from like outside whoever because they didn't know or see my vision, because I knew what was best for me, and it had to be perfect. Like I had to design this, stuff had to be at the right angle. Um, some people might call it being anal. Some people might call it like OCD or whatever. It's still form of perfectionism. Like stuff has to be right. Uh, so like this go around when we started, like my thing now is I just want to be successful, you know, and even if that means I have an idea, and somebody else says I don't think that's gonna work, or maybe you should try this. If it's gonna lead us to being successful, if my way doesn't work and their way like proves like more success, I'm gonna go like I don't care about being perfect. I'm willing to totally throw it out the window. Totally throw it out the window. And then like for me, perfect means like that 100%, like always. So if you're doing something, if you're talking about something, you want to please 100% of the people, which is never going to happen. You're always going to be like someone's always going to have something to say. If you're successful, there's always going to be those people who hate on you because you're successful. You know what I'm saying? If you're not successful, there's always going to be those people who are talking about you because you had so much potential. So you might as well do what you want to do because you're gonna have critics either way.
Yeah, it's interesting because that drive to perfection, you know, like I was saying before, it can be good or bad because I think there's times when it serves you and there's
Oh
times
no,
times when it
I
hurts
I
you.
definitely agree. Totally agree.
And one of the things that it's interesting because my mind's thinking of 100 different ways we could go with this topic because I feel like, well, let's talk about this. So when you have a goal with health and wellness, right? When I used to do Insanity, P90X, and all of that, and work out, everything that those workout plans have is that you start on day one. It's a 30-day program or a 60-day program, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
And, you've put up your workout calendar, and there's like that achievement of crossing it off every day. And so there was such a drive to do that program perfectly. And, if you missed a couple days, for someone who's hardcore perfectionist, then you're like, crap, do I start over? Oh my God, I missed a couple days. Like, there was like a whole stigma around, I cannot say that I did Insanity perfectly because I didn't do it 30 days in a row. And there was a lot of people who felt the same.
There's probably still some people who feel the same.
Yeah, and it's interesting because that's not at all true. I mean, you could do Insanity over the course of 2 months and probably still have great success.
Yep.
And maybe even 3 months.
Yep.
Right? Or even like, have you ever like decided, all right, enough's enough. I'm going to start eating healthy today. Okay? Today comes, you change everything. You're like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. I'm all in. I'm dedicated. And then like that day, maybe the second day or the third day, like someone at work brings in some cake, or it's, like whatever. You had something and you screwed up and you're like, oh my God. Like, you eat the piece of cake and you're like, oh fuck it, I screwed it up. Oh my God, it's
Hey,
never gonna
put
work.
put a hand emoji up if you've been there.
Yeah, like I'm gonna put both my hands up. These are my emoji hands because, like, why do we feel that we have to be perfect when we set out on this health journey, or really anything? Why do we feel like we have to be perfect? And if we don't like execute to a T, it's not gonna work. Why is that?
Conditioning.
You think it's conditioning?
I Conditioning is a part of it.
Yeah. Conditioning, elaborate on that for our listeners.
If you think about it, like depending on um, what you look at, what you watch, what you're exposed to, all that is a form of conditioning. Now, Not gonna say there's a right or wrong way of conditioning. Conditioning is conditioning. Like I feel we go through whatever we go through for whatever reason. There's no loss. There's always a lesson in
Mm-hmm.
whatever we go through. You know, um, and that's a form of conditioning right there. Some people could go through something and they didn't do good or didn't do great. They start to beat themselves up. Oh, I could have done this better. I could have done that better. Oh, I'm just horrible, whatever. Instead of like reframing that and looking at the situation, be like, okay, how could I have done this better? Like, did I do my best? And if I didn't do my best, like next time, because there's always going to be a next time. It
Mm-hmm.
may show up in different ways, but there's always going to be a next time. How can I do better? But doubling back conditioning, even if it's slight conditioning, with uh, those workout videos, a lot of them, even the marketing in the beginning, hey, press play every day, press play every day. So once again, not to say it's good or bad, there's pressure to hit that play button to do something
Oh, so
every
the
day.
conditioning then is like, what are you around and what are the environments you're a part of?
Yes.
Because if you've got a ton of workout buddies who are doing the same type of thing
Hmm.
and they're all pressing play every day and you're the only one who's not,
Right.
that's that pressure you're talking about.
Right.
Whether it's external from the environment or
Internal.
internal from yourself.
Hmm.
Because I mean, I was just trying to think back, like, why is it that I've always wanted to be so perfect?
But even like you
Why
you
was that
said
always a driver?
you said for you, if you missed a day, it was like start over. No, fuck that. There was no starting over for us. Like we would, if we missed a day, we would double up
Oh, or that, yeah.
or triple
And
up.
really, honestly, if you're doing 2 or 3 insanity workouts in a day, I mean, you think you're catching up, but you're probably doing more
No, no,
harm,
you're really.
right?
But I mean, but
Like,
think about it. Going back
I'm
to conditioning,
dedicated.
how many of you have heard no pain, no gain?
I
Like
have.
like no pain, no gain.
Yeah, my dad used to have a shirt that said that,
And
like a
I
sweatshirt back
I
in the
I
like
think
90s.
my personal opinion, don't crucify me. Like you guys have your opinion, whatever, whatever. My personal opinion, with what I've known, what I've learned, what I've been through, that, in my opinion, is silly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because for one, if you're a regular, average, Joe or Jane, you have a job to go to. You have a family to take care of. You know what I'm saying? You're not an actor being paid millions of dollars to look good. You know what I'm saying? You're not a professional uh, athlete who has to show up, for a major playoff game. So yes, no pain, no gain. They have to work through that because that's their job. That's what they're clocking in to do. But if you're just a person who's just trying to get in shape, but feel that you have to kill yourself to get there, you're doing yourself more damage than anything. Because if you feel like on leg day, like it wasn't a good workout if you can't walk up a set of stairs or you can't like sit down on a toilet, that makes no sense. Because think about it, if your whole point is to be active, like each day you're trying to be active in some kind of way, and you train to the point where you can't even raise your arms to wash your hair, how are you going to get through a workout, a very efficient workout, and expect results for that? So you're probably going to be on the back burner for a couple of days. So you're pushing your activity level back because you overdid it for this
Right.
period of time.
Right.
So like no pain, no gain. No, I mean, yes, there's discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
There's the soreness. There's the because there's that sense of challenging. You're being challenged. Something's changing. But to get up the next morning and oh man, I got out of bed and I had the penguin legs, or my feet hit the floor and then my body followed.
Right.
That's
Right.
it doesn't have to be that way for you to be fit, in shape, and healthy.
The thing that we're talking about here, when I think about like perfectionism holding you back from your goals, I mean, we've touched on it a couple different ways, but I think for me, what has happened is like I'm sick of trying to be perfect, and perfect is not getting me there,
You'll never
right?
you'll
Like that.
per,
That's the thing.
Perfection is a thing
It's
you'll always be chasing. For
mm-hmm.
one, um, perfection is an absolute. because you may look at perfection a certain way. I may look at perfection a certain way. So then the whole premise behind perfection is flawed.
Well, and it's almost like driven and fueled by outside opinions and influences.
Yep.
Right? And maybe some of it's internal too, because like if I think about, starting a business or going after your dreams, whatever that is, insert like goal. But if you think
Right.
about starting a business, it's like you're in the lab, you're in the lab, you're in the lab, you're working, but you never put it out there because you want it to be perfect.
Yep.
I mean, you do need it to be a certain level, right?
But
Like if
it's
there's
never going to be perfect.
right,
There's
or
always some tweaking.
I mean, cool. I don't care. I can put a web page out there. That's fine. But like me, when it's me out there. But what's funny about that is there's certain things about me that I'm like real like nitpicky on with perfection. But yet I'll come on a live show on video in whatever I was wearing today, looking all whatever. Because if I really cared about perfection for that, I'd have my hair all done perfect every time I was on video.
Right.
But like I can't. There's too much going on. I don't have time to go like get ready just because we're doing a show.
I think. Well,
I think it depends on what it is.
Speaking about the business thing, it's interesting because you strive for that perfect thing, or
you want to do
good.
Or
You
want to be seen good.
The underlining thing, like you just said, you know what I'm saying? It's how are people going to see and look at me? Like,
how am I perceived?
What if they don't like this? Instead of saying, you know what, if they don't like it, it wasn't for them.
What's so crazy is like some of the decisions that I have made in my life around like my career have been driven, if I were really, really truthful about it, would be we're driven around like how will this position or how will this role be perceived by my network? Because there have been lots of different network marketing companies that I've joined over the years for different reasons. I've joined health ones, I've joined travel ones, I've joined lots of different ones. And they all were like really good, but then I always got stuck and been like, oh my God, what is my network going to think about this? And you kind of tiptoe out and you're like, hey, you want to join my business? And people are like, what? No. Because it's like weird and random when you come at them or when you're trying to push it on them.
Right.
Because you're not comfortable about it and then they're feeling that.
Right.
You get a couple of no's and you're like, oh, okay, well, versus like if you were super passionate about it and were willing to just take the steps and make it happen, you could still be a part of a network marketing business or insert whatever it is. And it's really not that big of a deal. Right. But I think the network marketing business, why people don't really go full in is partially perfection, confidence, and a couple other things. But the perfectionism, I think, is there because it's driven by the ego. So it's like, then what will people think?
Right.
And you may not be consciously thinking about that, but if you're willing to sit down and actually think about it and be willing to admit it to yourself and to others, I mean, for me, that's the perfectionism piece has been driven by ego and what others think.
Right.
How will I be perceived if I do this? So if I just up and stopped everything I was doing and, I don't know, became a plumber, right? If that was really my passion, I was trying to think of something like very opposite of who I am. If that's really what I wanted to do,
plumber would be it.
I would be really like nervous to make that jump because I'd be like, what do people think about me? But it's interesting because what I really love is I love, the nature and the travel and the, like just being like wild and adventurous and doing crazy things. So I would, in a heartbeat, be like, all right, well, I'm going to change my life and we're going to go live in a caravan and go travel the country. And that is so crazy and out there. But because I like the way that looks and the way that it feels to me, I'm not even worried about it. Right?
Right.
Or like, how about the ego when it came to perfection? Like I bought a house and I had a house in my 20s and I made 6 figures in my 20s and I felt really good about it. Now, granted, those are some great achievements, but when I decided to move from my house into an apartment, I don't have the perfect life anymore. It's crazy. It's ridiculous, these things that we put around ourselves, and especially when it relates to our body and our health and fitness.
Especially
Especially because you're not going to live and eat a perfect life. Like, oh, I ate perfectly clean today, 100%. Like, you may be able to do that, but if you fall off or decide to have a brownie or whatever, it's like not the end of the world. It's really just about those small steps
Yep.
and those small wins every step of the way.
I think about like the bodybuilders when they're on a super strict diet when it's time for a competition, when competitions get
Mm-hmm.
ready. Super strict diet, like fine tuned, laser focused, it's zeroed in. Nothing against bodybuilders, guys.
Mm-hmm.
So don't come bash me. Jay hates bodybuilding. Nope, not saying that. Um, but it's like, they go through the competition, and after the competition, you see pizzas, you see burgers, you see like, oh, we just got 12 boxes of Krispy Kreme donuts after competition, or like after competition. So it's like all these things they've deprived themselves of,
Mm-hmm.
that they're like going all in. Oh, we're having beers or whatever, and then it's like not for me. That's all
Well,
I
and
can
I
say.
feel like what the reason you share that as an example is to show that even someone who's super focused for a super intentional goal,
Hmm.
who needs to be very tight
Yep.
on the execution after, just as like, right, because it's like they want all the stuff that they couldn't have
Right.
before.
Exactly.
And that just goes to show you, so even someone who is super in tune and following like a super strict schedule by choice,
Right.
for a specific purpose.
Exactly.
So just imagine a regular person like you and me. Like, I don't want to be a bodybuilder. I mean, yeah, my dreams, I'd love to have a body like that, but I'm not willing to put in the work that it takes to get there.
That's a lot of work.
Right? So, I mean, like, how on earth can I expect and hold myself to those standards,
Right.
of perfection of a bodybuilder or whoever else who like does this? That's why I'm so glad that we have like really honed in like what we're doing, and it sure ain't perfect, that's for sure. But we've like learned how to and implement in our life, like how to have a lifestyle that feels good, that honors like the different tastes that we want to have, that isn't about deprivation. Because I've done it and it sucks.
This might sound silly, and I mean, but I think that you find the perfection by going through the imperfection.
Yeah, I can see that. And it's almost like if you're willing to let go of the perfection,
Or
the concept of
of perfection.
perfection, if you're willing to let go of the concept of perfection and just be
Hmm.
and follow your authentic heart and your authentic self, that almost, funny enough, as a byproduct, here comes perfection, because then it's the perfect thing for you. But it's almost like we were talking about, like a reframe.
Yep.
Right? It's like it just flips it over and makes it that much more powerful for your life, because it has a different meaning and a different intention behind it.
Different energy.
Different energy. Ooh,
Different
I like
feel.
that.
Different vibe.
I like that.
You're dialed in. You're tuned in to a whole different frequency.
Yes, I like that. That's so powerful. I think that is the perfect thing to end today's show on. So glad you joined us.
Next Levelution, coming in January. It's telling life-changing program, not your typical fitness, not your typical wellness program. This is like, seriously, this is a life-changing experience. Um, it's basically guiding you, teaching you how to flip that switch, how to dial in to that frequency you're trying to dial in. It's kind of like, you're looking for your favorite station on the radio, and you're trying to find it. It's almost there, and you're inching, you're turning, and you finally hit it. You finally hit it. This is what the next Levelution is for your lifestyle.
Yeah. And it's like the conversations we're having with you on the Holistic Life Show are just touching the surface of what we're going to go into. So a lot of these topics, we're going to be diving into them a lot deeper.
Yep.
And a lot more focused on you and your journey and how you can make those switches.
Right.
So if that speaks to you and you're excited about it, make sure you go to, we got the link in the description, but www.2jhala.com.
The number 2.
The number 2.
The letter J.
The letter J.
Did I do that backwards? That was backwards. The
Holla.com
letter J.
/NL stands for Next Levelution. All right, guys. Until next time, so excited you joined us.
And if you want updates on when we're having the next show, make sure to join the waitlist.
Yes, the wait list or the insider list?
Insider list.
Insider list.
Insider
See, perfection.
Wait, insiders, whatever.
Insider
Join the list.
list. Yes. All right, guys. See you later. DJ's back there. He got up.